everyone, my name is Vespa, and I am the #1 rogue player in the world. This rogue guide will help you level up your game and play like me. Let's start with an overview of Rogue's abilities. Her basic attack is 3 punches in quick succession, with the first 2 doing 35 damage and the third charged attack doing 45 damage. The block gives Rogue damage reduction to the damage she takes from the front, and while blocking, you're able to left click to use a punch that moves you forward and does damage on a 6-second cooldown. The more damage you absorb while blocking, the more damage this punch will do. Her shift ability has 2 parts. The first is a lunge forward that does damage if you connect, and after the lunge, you can press shift again to activate this circle around Rogue. The circle does constant damage and pulls enemies in at the end. Rogue's E has 3 different parts. The first part is a lunge into a kick that sends you and enemies flying into the air. Enemies drop, but Rogue can stay in the air and move around for a short amount of time. If you press E while already in the air, you can slam down into the ground and do damage in a circle around where you land. After using your E for the first time, you get 2 empowered kicks that you can see in the bottom left that have range, pierce, and give Rogue overshields for damage done. Her final standard ability and the coolest part of her kit is her F. This is a lunge into a grab, very similar to Emma's diamond form. Unlike Emma, however, a couple of things happen when you grab someone on Rogue. When you grab someone, you steal an ability from them and gain a passive bonus. Each character has a set ability that Rogue will steal. For example, she will always steal Emma's diamond form, or will always take Invisible Woman's push. Not every character has an ability you can steal though. Characters like Winter Soldier or Iron Man don't have abilities that you can steal. If you grab one of these enemies that don't have a stealable ability, you instead get your shift back. Each roll gives you a passive bonus when you steal from them. For example, stealing from tanks gives you bonus HP. DPS give you a damage boost. And supports give you passive healing. Additionally, some characters have unique passives that you can steal, but it increases the cooldown of the ability. For example, you can steal Wolverine's passive and have the same second life effect that he has. Rogue's ultimate is very unique in that you can steal ult charge from the enemy team. When you use her ultimate, it starts an 8-second timer and creates a radius around you. Anyone in this radius takes a small amount of damage, similar to her shift, and if any enemy in her radius is above 80% ult charge, it will rapidly decay to 80% as she steals it. Additionally, she gains the passive bonuses of everyone in her radius. So if there's a support, she will gain self-healing, if there are tanks, she will slowly gain more HP, and if there are DPS, she will get a damage boost. The last ability to talk about is her team up with Gambit. Using the team up gives you a short amount of time where all your melee attacks are infused with Gambit's power and send out a shockwave. This shockwave heals allies and damages enemies, but it does not heal you. Not every ability procs the team up, so make sure you use the right cooldowns to get the most damage in. The things that proc the shockwave are normal attacks, shift lunge connecting, E-kick, powered attacks from the E ability, and your block punch. Things like the shift damage and your E-slam do not send out a shockwave. There are 2 main combos that I do on Rogue, depending on how much damage you want to do and what cooldowns you can use. The first combo is using all of your cooldowns to do big damage. You go shift, shift, punch, block punch, E, left click, F, punch, shift, shift, punch, punch. That combo looks like this. You want to use this combo when you have no fear of needing to escape, like if your team is pushing very hard with the support ult or their backline is very vulnerable. The next combo you use shift and E to do sizable damage while still allowing you to save your block punch to escape. You can either do shift, shift, E left click, or shift, E left click, shift, E left click. That combo looks like this. Or, this does good damage to supports and other squishies while still allowing you to save a cooldown from ability. Rogue is very vulnerable to CC, so some of her counters are strong CC characters like Invisible Woman, Bucky, and one of her biggest counters, Penny Parker. Rogue is also weak in a poke comps with a lot of strong damage. Things like Hela plus Namora or Phoenix plus Bucky. Rogue is strong when you have a team that wants to play a hybrid brawl and dive style. She pairs very well with characters like Daredevil and Star-Lord, who can fight tanks with her in the front line and then be able to dive the backline when the opportunity presents itself. She's especially strong into weaker backlines or backlines that can't sustain a long time through her abilities. While characters like Invisible Woman aren't great for her to dive because of her great sustainability, chasing a Rocket or a Luna without Snowball can be easy pickings. Rogue is also great at shutting down lone flyers like Torch and Ultron, as kicking up into the air with your E can do big damage and you can pin them back down to the ground. Rogue is also made so much better by her team up with Gambit. The extra damage on her dives makes her much more threatening and lethal to enemy backlines. Rogue is a very situational tank. Into some comps you could be fighting frontline a lot while looking for your chance to go backline. In some comps you could be marking and off-angling DPS. In others you could be diving backline anytime your cooldowns are back up. Because of the amount of variance in comps you could be playing against, that makes it very hard to give general tips on how to play, but there are a few rules you can try to follow. Into a lot of triple support comps, you'll be fighting frontline and then going backline with your abilities. Bully their supports and see if you can find a pick, but make sure to not overcommit and stay in for too long or you'll die. Into high DPS comps like Phoenix and Bucky, you will have to fight tanks a lot and then mark their DPS with your abilities. If they are alone, you may be able to get the kill, but the main thing is to prevent their progress on the off angle and hold them back. Going backline into this is very hard because their high burst damage can kill you very quickly. Into 2-2-2 comps with weaker damage or damage that won't be focused on peeling you, like Magic, Spider-Man, or Blade, you can hit their backline hard. I still recommend always saving an ability to get out unless you can guarantee the kill with it. If you have the Gambit team up into a match like this, you should be able to kill their supports a lot and carry your games. When trying to dive into their backline, my personal favorite thing to do is close the distance with my shift. Then, when they're in range, I can activate the shift again to do damage and pull them in. Then I use my E to kick them up and do as much burst damage as quickly as possible. When engaging into the backline, don't just use your abilities for main. Try to take an off angle so you don't take a lot of damage while engaging. This helps you take less aggro while in their backline and lets you stay in longer. Hopefully this video helps you understand how and when to play Rogue a little better. If you want to watch Rogue gameplay and try to learn more for yourself, you can watch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Veswa. I stream almost every day and play Rogue into every different kind of matchup. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.